Oh, are you racist? Oh, okay. Hey guys, and welcome to another video from the Modern Vet. I am going to be talking today about what it's like to be Black in veterinary medicine. I figured this would be the perfect time to address something like this, given the obvious state that we're in as a country, the obvious state that we've been in for many, many years that is just now really starting to come to light. More and more people are starting to pay attention to things that Black people have had to deal with for hundreds of years. I chose the field of veterinary medicine not because of the demographics, not necessarily because I wanted to add another, brown face to the demographics, but because of my love for veterinary medicine, science, animals, the ability to teach people, the ability to have an impact on public health, the ability to, study zoonotic diseases, infectious diseases, etc. Those are the things that really drew me into veterinary medicine. It's something that I've had my heart set on like all my life. As I got closer and closer to the field, understanding the construct, I realized that it was predominantly white. As a demographic, I make up about 2% of the workforce in veterinary medicine. I went to veterinary school at St. George's University in Grenada. It was an island. It was basically what I called my home. I grew up in an island before growing up. I know all about island life. And not only that, but it's predominantly Black, as 99.99% of islands are, especially in the West Indies and the Caribbean. So I felt right at home. And St. George's University, they try to ensure a very diverse student body. So for the med side of things, I noticed more diversity within their student population, but the veterinary side of things, even though it was in Grenada, the actual vet class itself was not diverse. In my class alone, there were about 4, including myself, in my class of a little over 100. So imagine my shock whenever I'm looking around and saying, 1, 2, yeah, 2, right? It's something else. You just laugh at it, but it's sad. The great thing is that my class was wonderful. I had no problems with them whatsoever. Not once did I ever second guess them, their intentions, or anything like that. And I just felt comforted knowing that even if I had some bad apples in that classroom, at least I'm in a Black country. So if I had to deal with some issues there, I was surrounded by love and peace everywhere else. And furthermore, even if there was a racist or two in my classroom, I'm telling you, they would not have gotten very far. But I say that to say that as far as school goes, in the veterinary field, I personally did not experience any issues, but I don't know what it was like for a Black student going to University of Georgia, or someone going to Western or something like that, where obviously they're in the States and more than likely their class is predominantly white. I have no idea what they would have, what they dealt with, but I'm almost certain that their experience would have been a little bit different from mine. That doesn't mean that things such as microaggressions have never occurred, whether to me, and maybe I just was oblivious, or to other people going to the schools that I mentioned. But for the most part, I felt okay. And transitioning now from the school life to career life. Well, actually, I'll just backtrack. During my clinical year that was spent at Cornell, again, I was literally straining my eyes looking for people who looked like me. There were very few. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of people I would see on a daily basis walking the hallways of that hospital, and that was sad. And as far as the clientele, I literally saw 2 Black families total in my entire year at Cornell. And there's so many reasons why that could be, but regardless, the clientele that veterinary medicine attracts, the professionals that veterinary medicine attracts, they don't look like me on average. I, again, thankfully did not have a bad experience at Cornell. They treated me just like anybody else. And again, if there were things that were said and done behind my back, I have no idea. That doesn't matter because it wasn't said to me in person. Now, again, that doesn't take away from experiences that other people might have had, okay? But I'm just saying for me, thankfully I had a smooth experience. Even with my clients, the clients that I would have to see walking into the room, they could have treated me a certain way, they could have made certain comments, but thankfully no one did. I have heard of people experiencing things like that. And actually, when I was a technician eons ago, I did have an experience with a client who was a bit taken aback by the color of my skin. So I was gonna get her dog from the waiting room to bring him back into the treatment area. And as I was trying to get his leash and, coax him to come with me, he was very hesitant. Most dogs are. But he was very hesitant, and so she took it upon herself to say this to me. I'm so sorry, he's not used to black people, so okay. But the good thing is that my boss was adamant about making sure that that client knew that what she said to me was wrong, was out of line, out of place, and completely unnecessary. So she handled it, she took care of me. And of course I made a comment too. Don't think I was gonna let her say that and not get away with it. But I digress. So this, these things have been going on, again, not many things that I've personally experienced, but I know that if I had someone here with me to say, hey, share some of your experiences, they probably have a lot more to say. And just because they haven't happened to me does not mean that they will not happen to me. So I can only say they haven't happened to me yet, right? I'm not necessarily calling it on me, but I'm just saying that the possibilities are there. And so the things that are happening in this profession, they happen everywhere else. Med students, physicians, nurses, law students, lawyers, etc. Everybody with my color experiences it in one way, shape, or form. And even if it's not overt, it is still knowing that when you walk into a room that is predominantly white, there's like literally nobody that looks like you. You always wonder to yourself, is anyone racist? Was this that was said to me, was that, did that have racial undertones? Did I just experience a microaggression? All those things. You can't help but have these thoughts in your head. You just kind of think that, oh, are you racist? Oh, okay, you smiled. All right. And you smile with her too, so that must mean that you're not. And that's unhealthy, right? Nobody wants to live like that, no matter what. But I like to try to give people the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. I do, but sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I walk into a room and I wonder, are they looking at me differently? Is it because of, I'm brown, or do they wish they were speaking to somebody else? All, things like that. And so, it's stressful. And this field is stressful as it is, so having to have those thoughts in your head every single day, it's not, it's intoxicating and not the best way. I say all this to say that what we need now in this profession is for entities like the AVMA to be a little bit more vocal in their support for diversity, inclusion, etc. They released a statement not too long ago that many people felt, including myself, it just wasn't enough. It was just something to say, well, we addressed it, we acknowledged it, but it wasn't enough. It felt as though they were literally walking on eggshells. It seemed to me as though they were just trying to tread carefully so they wouldn't cause an uproar. But for what? If there's injustice, you speak on it and you stand firm and you say what you have to say. Because if you're treading lightly, that just suggests to me that you're just trying to not rock the boat. How can you not want to rock the boat when the boat, first of all, needs to be turned over, burnt, and rebuilt? So they amended their statement, thinking that they did a little bit better. Some people think they did. I think they were still lukewarm, but they tried, I guess. But they can do better. They can do better. So we need entities like that like them to speak up, be more vocal. We need employers who are white. 99.99% of veterinary employers are white. We need you guys to extend support during this time to your brown, co-workers, to your brown employees, veterinary technicians, kennel attendants, whatever, to be more supportive, to sometimes, during staff meetings, maybe open up the floor to certain topics that might be uncomfortable for you, okay? But we need to have more and more conversations, and I think that's always been the case. That need has always been there. It's just now that we have all these writings and these lootings and, you know, all this craziness happening, that is just, you know, like literally the veil has been lifted and people are saying we cannot ignore these things anymore. And it's important for us in this field because there are not a lot of people that look like me. And it's easy to feel ostracized, it's easy to feel, you know, dare I say, socially isolated, etc. Oftentimes whenever I see someone who's Black and who's interested in veterinary medicine, I get so excited. Or if I see another veterinarian who's Black, I'm just like, oh my gosh, let's connect somehow on social media or something. You know, let's try to support each other. And I always am interested, like what, you know, as far as like what led them to the field and what they're doing and all those things. It's fascinating to me. It's like, you look like me, hey. So I think it's also important for fellow veterinarians who are white to just, you know, do your part as far as educating yourselves in certain things. If you're unsure, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know how to help, ask. And I must also say that there are a lot of resources out there for you to educate yourself. Books, you know, there are documentaries, all of these things. But if you need guidance as far as, okay, what is the most constructive thing I can do or read, then definitely reach out. I think that would be great. And, you know, whenever people are clocking in, you have your Black employees clocking in and you say, hey, you know what, how are you doing today? That means a lot. Okay, don't ignore it altogether. And I know that right now there's a lot of tension and it's easy for us to say, I don't know, should we talk about this? Should we not? You know, I don't want to rock the boat, Forget about that. I mean, of course, there's a time and place for everything and we want to maintain professionalism when we're, you know, on the clock. I get that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we're talking about human rights. We're talking about human lives. And that trumps everything. No pun intended. So it takes 2 seconds just to pull someone aside and just be like, hey, you know, I understand if you don't want to talk about this at all. I'm not trying to force you. I just wanted to know how you're doing and just let you know if you ever want to talk about anything, you know, I'm open. Let's talk. You know what I mean? Something as simple as that. Okay? You can't be afraid during these times to be open and speak to your fellow man. You cannot. We all need each other right now. Black people need to know that they have allies. They need to know that they are being heard. And white people, white veterinarians, what have you, you guys need to be like, hey, you know, team veterinary medicine, I'm here. I see that some of my comrades are struggling or they're suffering right now, etc. And I want to know what I can do on my part to make your experience in the field, working alongside me or whatever, a better one. So I know I've been rambling. My brain is literally all over the place. If I was a bit incoherent, I apologize, but I hope that you guys get the gist of this message. And there's no hate in this message for anyone. This is just me being open, me being direct as much as possible, and me just trying to shed light on important affairs that affect not just the veterinary community, but the human medicine community, nursing community, everyone. I was thinking about, you know, making the video in my scrubs and my white jacket and my, you know, stethoscope, and I said, for what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what profession I'm in. I'm Black and I'm having an experience in this country that is shared, you know, amongst my entire community, and it's not a pleasant one, and it hasn't been for a very long time. Okay, so I hope you take this message well, and leave me some comments below, if anything, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.